You guys knew I couldn't stay away from that MAZDAMUNDI booty for too long. Welcome! I'm a Rubber Duck of War, and today we're doing a Warhammer 2 showdown. I am leading the forces of the Lizardmen up against Bob's and his Empire legions. We shall ride in the name of the great plan. Super excited to be playing my Lizardmen forces again, and should be good fun. We're going old school here. This was just a random quick battle that we did do. And it seems like the meta is relatively similar, I think, at least particularly from my forces. I've been out the game, of course, enjoying Warhammer 3, so I haven't done much Warhammer 2 action, but I want to get in there and, mixed up with the Dino Boys a little bit. I've gone very stereotypical. So we have skink cohorts on the flanks, Saurus warriors with shields in the middle, and a mixture of red-crested skinks on the flanks as well, including the cohort of Sotek, one of the best bang for your buck units in the game. They're cheap, they're cheerful, and boy oh boy do they know how to bring the pain and be incredibly sticky at the same time. One unit of Feral Cold Ones out on the far side, and the way you take down Empire is you bring Stegodons. Stegodons kill absolutely everything in the Empire roster, particularly that angry Volkmar the Grim. With a Quattle in the skies, the Beast of 1,000 Ducks, which is going to be a shroud in my Lord MAZDAMUNDI and Thunderous One as they march closer in case there was any grand cannon fire or skirmish fire from your Outriders and so on. Where you're coming in with all of the items, as you'd expect: Curse of Midnight Wind, Apotheosis, and Net of Amantalk, so a pretty decent toolkit across the board. As for my opponent, he thinks magic is for the weak. He's been playing a lot of Khorne recently and decided, you know what, I'm going to follow them to boot. We have a double Empire Captain and a Boris Todbring in the sky, so going for a Chad style of play rather than playing with trickery and witchcraft. We do have some swordsmen as well as spearmen with shields. That looks like is going to be making up the majority of the battle line. We do have some halberds in the mix and double greatswords. I actually like this pick quite a bit. Mixing some greatswords for that AP alongside halberdiers can really help you out against Saurus Rush, which is so common. We have a couple of units of crossbowmen in the back, as well as a unit of Demigryph Knights with halberds. Now, they're my biggest threat today. They can be really problematic, particularly if they fight on top of the infantry that my opponent has to offer. They better drag down some of my larger creatures. So my main goal, of course, is to banish them, ruination them, and drag them down my infantry, because honestly, the Stegodons can kill almost everything else in this force if we keep the flies off them, as well as the Demigryphs. That's how much I really do think and value the power of Stegodons, and of course, the powerful bootay of Lord MAZDAMUNDI. We do have red-crested skinks jumping into spearmen. That's going to be an okay fight for us. We're whipping around the flanks of cohort and skinks. My opponent does jump our Feral Cold Ones. Not too much we can do about that. So we're going to clatter into the front line instead. Yes! Blood for the Blood God. As blood goes all over the place. Khotin Zlak, the true leader of the Children of the Old One, doing some massive damage there. Bottle's vibing up in the skies, needs to get moving a little bit, and the Saurus Warriors do push in as well. I must admit, playing this game felt like a bit of a fever dream. Of course, having played so much Warhammer 3, bouncing back to this game was quite odd. The Demigryphs are bounding across the battlefield, doing a little bit of hit and run on the Skinky Boys. They're getting bogged down in my infantry, which is exactly where I want them. Children of the Old Ones does go down. Looks like we're going to be dropping a banishment as well, though unfortunately for us, my opponent has too good a micro and is actually going to dodge it with his greatsword units. However, we managed to catch some swordsmen, which is good news for us, as well as some spearmen who are retreating there through the path of ruin and destruction. My opponent's Lord and Hero Corps certainly been out of the fight too long. We went for a rather bold pick. Was using my Quattle to actually jump the Demigryphs, which you maybe think I'm a mad duck for that, and of course I am, but coming with the Curse of Midnight Wind plus infantry support, I thought maybe it was possible. We're going to try to fly out there and escape the wrath here of the enemy Hero Corps. I'm sure you guys can hear the dying screams of Empire troops, and boy, oh boy, is it good. It smells like blood, death, and glory, and that's what we require as the Children of the Old Ones. Little Skinkies will be dragging down the halberds, who do make a pine cone of just spiky sticks pointing out in all directions, but it's not going to be enough. Swordsmen do break and run away, and we have so many troops over here. Though with the assistance of greatswords, maybe the situation will go a little bit bad for me. Big fights going down in the middle. I am pushing through and just destroying the Demigryphs where possible. 2v1ing them with the gigantic Stegodons is certainly a good way to go. You can see they're terrified and running to save their own skins. At this point, I've got some pretty tough decisions to make. My opponent has been able to beat back my Quattle, which is a very sad day for all duck kind there with his flying core. Now, do I spread out and chase off as many units as possible, or do I keep nice, tight, and compact? I actually decided to do a little bit of both, moving forward some cheap units like skink cohorts, because if I can chase off some of these units, it's worth it. If my opponent jumps them, I'm not losing that much money, but I'm keeping all my Saurus and heavy hitters close together. You can see we're shattering crossbowmen in the distance. Looks like there are 70 great swords coming back, which could be problematic, but I'm feeling pretty good as this game does delve into the latter stages of it. Lord MAZDAMUNDI rolling dirty, just shoving his way through the great swords. He's going to be so freaking good on domination mode. It's going to be insane. He's a fast, mobile, fantastic spellcaster, big mass, and is able to destroy infantry with the snap of a finger. Feral Cold Ones are on the way back, looking to get a cheeky rear attack into these halberdiers. Not a bad idea whatsoever. Hopefully enough to break them and force them back. Big lightning bolt comes down on the great swords. Looks like that's going to be doing some pretty decent damage, and the Saurus Warriors will be carving their way through the men of the Empire. More great swords are being terrified and chased down. My opponent's taking a bit of a breather. Looks like he's just trying to save his route and troops and form up once again into a second battle line. Balance power certainly is in my favor, and I can certainly see why, because the spearmen are running, halberdiers are shattered, more great swords are fleeing to try to save their own skins as well, and we're simply running down so many troops at the moment. We'll do a little bit of fast forwarding, because I believe at this point we kind of both just chasing down troops and realigning our situations. And yeah, I'm not allowing these great swords to rally with the Feral Cold Ones. There's simply no way. My opponent's going to be trying to use his flyers where possible to harass and jump on any units I have that are in the distance, but I'm actually waiting for this quite patiently. I've got a bucket tons of Winds of Magic right now, so I'm waiting for him to land so I can drop a big fat juicy net of Amantok on him if he decides to dive in before he gets to his main battle line. He really wants to be fighting on top of his own troops, but there he goes. He jumps down on the skin cohorts, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to drop a overcast net of Amantok plus a Curse of Midnight Wind, and I'm going to start bullying Boris. This is just straight up child bullying, and I guess to the Lizardmen, all humans are probably children. I am trying to drag some Saurus and Skinks past Boris to hopefully pin him in with our mass. We really need one of the big units around the other side. We're doing some pretty decent work and do have a nice surround on him. He's got decent mass though, so it looks like he is just about being able to push through our Saurus Warriors. Very close to break, and Foe Seeker has been popped on him, given a bit of a speed boost in an attempt to escape. Demigifts did come back in here. Saurus Warriors doing absolutely fine though. The Empire captains flee before the might of the old ones, which, you know, I don't blame them as well. If you've ever found yourselves on the end of a MAZDAMUNDI charge, you don't really want to be going back there. We do give Boris a few parting shots right up the rear end with the Thunderous one doing some nice work, and you can see the Demigryph Knights being chewed apart now by the Feral Cold Ones, which of course is a mismatch of skill, but hey, we've got the numbers, and you can see many a dead Demigryphs are on the ground. The Clever Gals drag down the mighty Knights and reign supreme. Look at that for a beautiful picture. Unfortunately, the Empire captains do come down to slap us up a little bit. No, my opponent's just trying to, like, you know, cycle charge and play this late game that way. I'm just going to go full, you know, foot on his throat and start pushing down really hard and moving in with my Saurus Warriors wherever possible, jumping as well as infantry and taking away his ability to cycle charge me to death. Halberds are retreating. It looks like swordsmen are as well. Wherever the gigantic Stegodons go, the men of the Empire doth fall. And a big ramming charge. There is count of blood, and many curses are ripped from Boris's body and soul. It looks like he's once again going to be retreating. Cohort Sotek pushing back on top of the crossbowmen, looking to shut them down. There are some great swords who can come in to try to revive the situation. Oh, it's such a sad sight. Look at my boy. Ah, it's horrible. I hate seeing the quote like that. Let's give him a little pat on the neck. That, you know, he's playing dead. I'm sure he's fine. Boris is going to be retreating, trying to cycle charge where possible. It looks like one of the Empire captains, unfortunately, has been abandoned and left behind. They're going to be attempting to cycle charge in, but at this point of the game, I am super, super comfortable. Shield of the Old One's going to come down. I have so much Winds of Magic. I have a Ruination left, a Banishment left. We're coming in with a Curse of Midnight Wind as well. I think I even just drop a Banishment on some Spearmen or something because I simply could, and I wanted to stunt. Empire Captain gets left in a little bit late here, and he's getting slapped up. Looks like they're not having a good day whatsoever. Curse of Midnight Wind goes down, they're terrified, and a Banishment is going to drop in the distance there, just ripping the life from that unit of Spearmen as army losses closes ever inwards. Empire Captain going to be forced back here. MAZDAMUNDI once again gets a big fat charge on Boris. My god. Flee, petty human. Run. Run and tell them MAZDAMUNDI's coming for them all. No manlin is safe from the wrath of the bootylicious Mazda himself. And a Pyrrhic victory for the force of the Lizardmen was relatively comfortable, but I thought it was a good fun game nonetheless. It's been great getting back into action there with the Dino Boys. Only played one game of Warhammer 2 so far, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. If you would like to see more Warhammer 2 content, let me know in the comment section down below. Feel free to like the video and subscribe as well for more content into the future. I really appreciate all the support doing those things. Helps out quite a bit. Links in the description to Twitch, Patreon, and Discord. And yeah, that's going to be it for me today. I'll go over any key units here quickly. 84 kills, 2.7k there from Lord MAZDAMUNDI. Certainly not bad damage value whatsoever. Looks like the Cohort of Sotek, such a fantastic utility unit. 168 kills, 1,000 gold value. Very impressed with those bad boys. Portalker just got killed, but hey, he's playing dead. It's all part of the great plan. Just shy of 3k and 130 kills on the Thunderous one was always underrated, in my little ducky opinion. 1.3k on Boris. Unfortunately, it looks like the rest of the lads did suffer considerably. Halberdiers not even getting the best work done, or the great swords at that. Demogryphs only 250 gold value on them. Till next time, guys, peace, and as always, stay awesome.